CCTV captures what happens when people think no one's around. From the horrifying to straight up disturbing, we'll look at footage captured from Japan in the form of an iceberg. Layer by layer, we'll go deeper, where each piece of footage will become more obscure and more horrifying. So, let's get started at the tip of the iceberg. Late one evening on a crowded road in Hachioji City, a dashcam captured a hit and run that almost ended in tragedy. You can see this white car driving down the road, and ahead, a woman pedals in the bike lane, when suddenly, the white car begins to veer left for seemingly no reason. You can see the woman sit up in confusion while the car continues to drive on in the distance. The dashcam's rear view shows the car's brake lights flare briefly, as if the driver hesitated or felt some guilt about what he just done, only to disappear into the distance anyway. But what's genuinely horrifying is how close she came to not sitting up at all, as just ahead of her is a guardrail. Even 1 second later and she would have been shoved right against it and the car, which doctors would go on to say would make survival extremely unlikely. This sort of thing is a small, everyday evil, something that might appear in a small section of the newsfeed for no more than 24 hours. But it's scary how close this story came to being a headline talked about for years. A video uploaded to YouTube in 2011 depicts a silent residential road in Japan, filmed from what appears to be a stationary CCTV camera mounted above the street. For a while, nothing happens. A car passes by, the wind slightly shakes the camera, but then disturbing music can be heard approaching from the camera's blind spot. Headlights crawl into view as a slow-moving advertising truck, the kind that drives through town selling roasted sweet potatoes or Yaki-imo, appears on screen. Normally these trucks play cheerful jingles, but in this video the speaker is a bit distorted and broken. The voice repeats the same words again and again. It's delicious. It's delicious. In a pitch that is incredibly disturbing. It's like a scene from a horror movie. Instead of trying to sell sweet potatoes, he's trying to give the children on this street nightmares. Viewers online called it the terrifying Yaki-imo seller. Unsure whether the footage was real or staged, but it fell into the liminal horror category, with many commenters disturbed and rightly confused at why this was being recommended after 14 years. Nagoya Station fatal accident. It was 7:40 AM on October 15th, 2025. A CCTV camera pointed at a busy Nagoya Station intersection, when suddenly it catches the shimmer of a purple compact car accelerating towards crowds of people instead of braking. The driver was Hiroshi Takeda, a 71-year-old man who told police he didn't hit anyone. However, the footage clearly shows otherwise. His car plows over a curb at full speed and begins to flip as it heads off camera towards the intersection, immediately striking 49-year-old Sachiko Tanaka, killing her instantly, with the car going on to hospitalize two of the victims. Police later calculated that his speed was close to 100 km/h, which, when questioned about, he claimed the brake didn't work, which would later be proven incorrect when looking at the vehicle's black box. What's disturbing is that the old man had his license renewed just a few years earlier in 2023. And what's even worse is that the old man hasn't even been arrested yet, or had his license revoked. This is common when the suspect is elderly or injured, with police citing the case needs further investigation. As of today, there's been no arrest, as the police tell media they're considering further administrative action. On a late evening in Ōta Ward, Tokyo, inside a small massage parlor, a man fresh off a few beers is just finishing up his massage. The CCTV camera captures a female employee in her 40s tidying some sheets, when, completely unprompted, the man rushes her from a back room and begins beating her. The CCTV aired later on ANN news channels caught by surveillance show. It shows him striking her repeatedly, forcing her down before kicking at the cash drawer. The sequence is short, 30 seconds of brutality and the woman's cries. He grabs the day's earnings and runs away, with the woman capturing him running on her phone. Police arrested the 31-year-old man the following day, after tracing his bicycle and clothing through nearby street cameras. He admitted to the assault, claiming he panicked after he realized he couldn't pay, which is just a ridiculous excuse. You'd imagine trying to talk it out first, but okay. The victim suffered facial fractures, but thankfully survived. The footage really puts me on edge. Just the complete unprompted attack is really horrifying. It's a reminder that some of the worst violence is completely unprompted. Welcome to Tier 2. Now before we get into this layer's horrifying footage, if you're enjoying the video so far, please make sure to subscribe. I just started this channel a few weeks ago, and the goal is 20 million subscribers, so any help is appreciated. In the summer of 2023, what began as a few sightings turned into a full-scale citywide alert. Fukuoka's suburban neighborhoods started reporting a string of violent monkey attacks, macaques entering homes, chasing pedestrians, and injuring residents. Networks like FNN and ANN began broadcasting surveillance clips. One shows a monkey slipping through an open door as a woman screams from the kitchen, with her husband chasing the monkey out the front door. The disturbing thing is that these monkeys may look small and harmless, but if you know anything about monkeys, you'll know that is far from the case. They have sharp canine-like teeth, muscular arms with incredible grip strength, and there's always a fear of rabies. So when you watch this footage, it's incredibly disturbing to see how close these people are coming to a horrifying end. This dashcam footage shows an ordinary drive through Kasuga City in Fukuoka Prefecture. A family car cruises down a road at night when suddenly there's an explosion. A flaming truck steamrolls towards the car, missing it by a few meters and heading onto the pavement. The accident was caused by another vehicle, a red family car. When the truck stopped to turn right, the car went straight into the back of it, and instantly went up in flames. The driver was a man in his 50s, and police ruled the case as negligent driving, citing the cause as inattention. Both drivers survived with minor injuries, but both cars were severely damaged. It's a horrifying case when we see electrical vehicle accidents lately where cars burst into flames, trapping their owners inside with no way out. It leaves that harrowing thought that this one could have been a lot worse. It's an early afternoon in Minami-Ku, Fukuoka City. On March 2021, a home security CCTV system captures a crime in its entirety. At 1:14 p.m., a car pulls up and 3 men hop out of its sliding doors and approach the house. They break in with a crowbar and begin rummaging through the house's belongings, while one of them returns to the yard to keep lookout. You can see how passerbys are completely unaware of what's going on as their neighbor's house is completely ransacked. Police later identified the intruders as 3 local men in their 20s, one technically still being a minor, so their names were withheld. They confessed after being tracked down through nearby street cams and pawn shop transactions. About 300,000 yen and several pieces of jewelry were recovered. Thankfully no one was hurt as the homeowner was at work. But it's disturbing how a break-in was able to happen so easily in broad daylight, whilst passerbys walked past without batting an eye. Had the homeowner been there at the time, would this case have turned into something different? The eeriness of how easily they broke in is what makes it incredibly unsettling. What's stopping anyone from breaking in anywhere and committing something horrific? That is what freaks me out about this case. How quick they were in and out, and how nobody seemed to notice. Just after midnight in Fukuyama City, Hiroshima Prefecture, the security camera captures a man pull up on a motorbike and enter the convenience store. Inside is the 71-year-old clerk behind the counter, who realizes the man intends to rob the store. The clerk reports that his face was covered and in his hand was a large knife. The CCTV shows that within the minute, the robber runs out of the store with the clerk chasing him. The clerk reportedly chased him off with a broom, and the robber escaped and wasn't caught, but thanks to the clerk's courage, nothing was stolen. On a Saturday night in Yashio City, a father and his 2 daughters drive down a road when a dark purple car suddenly cuts them off. A man bursts out, screaming at them. He comes up to the window and bangs against it while passerbys slow down to see what's going on. The man was reported to have bloodshot eyes while shouting, "Don't mess with me." He slams his fist against the hood and tries to climb onto the windshield. You can hear the children screaming, and it's incredibly disturbing. The father drives onto the sidewalk to get away, but you can see the man following him in the distance. However, thankfully the father shook him off. Police later identified and arrested the driver for assault and drunk driving, but his name was never publicly released. No one was physically harmed, but the father said later he was more worried about his children's trauma than the car's dents. And I have to agree, this is something that would sit with me for probably the rest of my life. Hirosaki Aomori's strange black boxes. In Hirosaki City, Aomori Prefecture, residents began reporting small black boxes appearing near manholes and sidewalks. All identical in size, wrapped in tape, and left without any note or purpose. For weeks, nobody knew where they came from. Then, one surveillance camera caught it. An elderly man stopping his bicycle, reaching into the front basket and pulling out a dark object. He tossed it gently onto the ground and then pedaled away. The footage aired on FNN Prime Online, showing 75-year-old Tsunori Miyagawa, who was later arrested for obstruction of official police duties. Police had been flooded with calls about suspicious packages, forcing evacuations and bomb checks across the city. But when investigators opened the boxes, they found absolutely nothing. Just ordinary trash, scraps of paper, and plastic wrapped tightly in a black bag. Miyagawa admitted to placing them, but denied intending harm, saying he didn't mean to interfere with the police. What makes the footage disturbing is the total chaos and fear that it caused. Those packages could have been anything, and the pointlessness of them leaves me with a weird feeling that I can't explain. Something worse really could have happened here, and I guess I'm just left thinking, why? Welcome to Tier 3. Here, we're gonna start looking at serious criminal cases caught on CCTV, so hope you're prepared. At 10:47 PM, a young woman appears on CCTV. She's walking home from the train station, wearing headphones and glancing at her phone, when a few seconds later, a man enters the frame behind her. He keeps his distance, maybe 40 to 50 meters, just enough to blend into the background. It shows them crossing several streets in sequence, her unaware, him patient, stalking her completely. Each camera hands her off to the next. Convenience store, alley corner, apartment entrance. It's a breadcrumb trail to the inevitable. The final clip captures her entering her apartment, and he follows. The victim, 24-year-old office worker Katayama Megami, who was found hours later inside her apartment, having been stabbed multiple times. The suspect, 35-year-old Tanimoto Masashi, a former co-worker she had blocked on social media, was arrested 2 days later in Osaka after the police traced him through ATM security footage and train station cameras. He confessed to wanting to talk to her one last time, claiming the kill wasn't planned. How true that is up for discussion. He's clearly shown stalking her for multiple miles from the train station to her apartment. Incredibly creepy behavior for someone claiming he just wanted to talk. As of today in 2025, the case is still ongoing, with no sentence having been confirmed. On January 22nd, 2025, at 7:06 AM, 35-year-old Kenta Ogihara paced back and forth near Nagano Station's east exit. Over the next hour, other feeds capture him circling around other parts of the station, pausing at a vending machine, walking into the station lobby, standing by the ticket gates, and then leaving again. At 8:01 AM, he returns. A camera shows him fumbling in his bag before pulling out a long kitchen knife. Another camera near the taxi stand shows the moment he lunges. First at a woman stepping off the bus, then at two men who came rushing to help her. The whole attack lasts under 30 seconds. He drops the blade and runs, disappearing between taxis and the crowd before police arrive. There were 3 victims, 2 dead and 1 critically injured. He was arrested less than an hour later, hiding in a nearby parking garage, his clothes splattered with blood. Police identified him as 35-year-old Kenta Ogihara, unemployed with no prior record. During questioning, he reportedly said, "I wanted to end everything, and I didn't care who it was." Psychiatrists later described him as socially isolated, living alone in a small apartment outside the city with almost no human contact. It's a pretty horrible situation all around. Seeing his hour of mental preparation on CCTV before finally deciding to do something, it's incredibly disturbing. On Halloween night, October 31st, 2021, a Keio line train bound for Shinjuku was the target for Kyoto Hattori. He was dressed like the Joker and boarded the train with a knife and a small plastic bottle filled with lighter fluid. At 8 PM on the dot, he stands up. The CCTV footage from inside the train captured the entire thing, with footage online showing passengers scramble for exits as the man begins stabbing at random. One 72-year-old man is critically injured when the attacker empties the lighter fluid and ignites it. Flames surge through the carriage, and within seconds, the aisle becomes a tunnel of smoke. Station cameras capture the train rolling into Chofu Station, with people climbing out through the windows and running along the platform to escape. When police arrive minutes later, he offers no resistance. Hattori, who is 24 years old, later told investigators, "I wanted to kill someone. Anyone." On March 11th, 2011, Japan was hit with a magnitude 9 earthquake off the coast of Tohoku, triggering one of the most destructive tsunamis in modern history. And of course, it was captured on CCTV. Across the country, live feeds from NHK, surveillance systems and roadside traffic cameras documented the tragedy. Within minutes of the quake, tsunami warnings were issued for the entire northeastern coastline. Kesenuma, Ishinomaki and Miyako were among the hardest hit. Entire neighborhoods were washed away as seawater surged kilometers inland, sweeping up cars, homes, and everything in its path. When the water finally receded, more than 18,000 people were dead or missing. Over 400,000 buildings were destroyed or severely damaged, and the nuclear facility at Fukushima Daiichi followed within hours, forcing mass evacuations and sparking an energy crisis that changed Japan's policy on nuclear power for years to come. The footage from that day became essential to understanding the scale of the event. It was replayed on every national network and used in reconstruction planning. But this footage will always be horrifying to me, at how an ordinary day can turn into one where you lose everything. I was super disturbed by multiple entries on this list, so be sure to comment below what freaked you out the most. If you made it this far and aren't subscribed, I recommend doing so, and if you like more videos like this, check out my iceberg on Japan's most disturbing TV moments. I'm sure you'll find something you like. Thanks for watching.